Hello and welcome to another episode of eBay Scavengers. This is episode 19. I'm Ryan and I'm here with Jay.
Hello, Ryan.
Hello. And we are talking about what's happening in our store this week. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was a sale we made a few months ago. It was about 5 months ago. And we sold a lamp to the set designer of Mad Men. Now,
That's right.
How did we know this was the set designer of Mad Men? Do you remember?
I think because when we looked at their buyer name, their address, it was the Mad Men Studios.
Well, you Googled her name,
Right.
too, and there were a few articles, interviews of her.
That's right, yeah. And it was interesting. It's kind of like, I guess that would be a way for some blogger to find out what's going on in Mad Men because they could see what the person's buying, you know?
Yeah, actually, I went through her completed listings of stuff she had bought, and she had bought, like, all this vintage advertisement from old, like, Northwest Airlines, I think it was, and, like, Chevy. Oh, that's funny because they're doing the Chevy ads, so that makes sense. But so she bought a lamp from us, and we were waiting and watching the show to see when the lamp would be on the show, and it was on the show last week.
Yep. And if you go to the blog, the picture will be in this post.
Yeah, so the lamp was on the desk of Ted, one of the ad guys.
It makes me realize, like, man, on a show like that, they must spend tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars on all that mid-century furniture. I mean, you know, we sold ours for what,
I think it was like 180 or something.
180, yeah.
Yeah, and that was just one lamp.
Right.
And I've been noticing more this season. Obviously, I've been paying more attention where, you know, the chairs,
the couches,
the desks, the lamps, they're all gorgeous, you know.
Right. And you know, and some of those couches, I mean, they must go for thousands of dollars just for the couch.
Yeah. So that was exciting. That was really fun to see that.
And I'm sure that's probably like a very well-known quote-unquote secret that set designers do. I bet they buy a lot of stuff on eBay.
Right, and I think also, like, I would assume that they get better deals on eBay than they would at, like, Los Angeles, like, antique places, too, so.
Right, because, you know, those people are paying, you know, they probably don't even sell it, they probably rent it, you know.
Right. Yep. That's a good point too.
But anyway, I'm sure any long-term eBay vintager has sold to a movie or a TV show. You know?
And we've sold to designers. I mean, we've sold to designers at big brand names too. Either they're replicating it or they're buying it for their archive as well. So that's always fun too.
Yeah, that's true. Cool. You know, it's kind of neat. I mean, that is true that we've had whoever, like someone from Cole Haan or from
Ralph Lauren.
Yeah, you know, and they'll probably buy, you know, and they buy an old sweater or an old pair of shoes, which I assume that it uses inspiration to make some new shoe line.
Yeah, I've actually had the shoe designer from Michael Kors bought several pairs of shoes from me in the last few years. So that's always fun to just look at their designs and say, hey, did that shoe that I found at a thrift store, you know, inspire a whole line?
Totally makes sense.
So the other thing that happened in our store that was actually another big deal was we found a necklace at a thrift store the other day. And I looked at it and I said, I'm pretty sure this necklace is made out of what they call butterscotch bakelite, which is sought after by collectors of bakelite. We decided to put it up on auction, which is something we never do. So do you want to talk about, like, our decision behind
Sure. Well,
that?
I mean, so bakelite is like it's a first kind of plastic that I guess was made in the 20s and 30s.
Yeah, 20s and 30s.
Right.
Yep.
So before they knew how to make plastic out of petroleum, I guess.
Well, it was. Yeah, I mean, we can link to more of a history, but there was one guy who figured out how to make it out of a resin.
Right. So anyway, and so people like it because it's old and it's not really used as much anymore and stuff. So and we decided to put it on auction because Ryan's mom actually
Yes.
linked to this guy that sold an old bottle for $3,000 on auction that blew us away.
Now it's not just like an old bottle he found in the trash, but it's called a historical flask.
Sure, but it's an old bottle.
It's an old bottle, yeah.
know?
Well, people collect them,
Right.
you know.
And so we were like, well, you know, we hate to do auctions because basically we think it's eBay's way to make extra fees out of buyers. Out of sellers. And normally, if you're anywhere near intelligent, you can figure out a fixed price that's going to be close to what you'd get on auction anyway. So
Yeah,
so we do all fixed price, yeah.
Yeah, and so part of that was, too, we were seeing a huge fluctuation in the price of these necklaces, where one lady supposedly sold one for $3,000, and then other people sell them for like $100. So we were like, well, first of all, I'd be thrilled to get $100. You know, I paid like a couple bucks for it. And then I'd be even more thrilled if I got, you know, over $1,000 for it. Of course.
Bottom line, we sold it for $1,300 and to someone in Beijing in China. So we're still waiting for the person to actually pay, but they have a good history. And
yeah, I mean, hopefully they will pay soon and we ship it to them and there's no problem. That's always the kind of crux of, you know, auction and make an offer is, you know, people don't have to pay right away. So,
right.
So yeah, $1,300 is an amazing
on
profit.
On a $3 necklace?
On a $3 necklace.
Great, yeah.
I mean, I am thrilled.
Yeah, and you know, I think that's probably our highest auction we've ever done.
Yeah, our highest sale. I think that's our highest sale ever.
Absolutely.
Yep. So that was fun.
You know, and these are the stories that like in eBay will talk about for years to come. But you know, it happens every so often. We'll find something cheap and sell it for, you know, $800, $900. You know,
we sold a pair of shoes for $900 once, which was like we totally did a double take when we looked them up. We were like, oh my God, these are...
But, you know, so if someone is hearing this and they're new to eBay, while these kind of stories are exciting, and I'm sure they will find something that will sell for a lot too, you know, 75% of our business is done by selling things between $20 and $40, and we just sell a lot of those. You know?
Yeah, it's sort of like, you know, these are exciting weeks. Like sometimes we have exciting days, exciting weeks where crazy things are happening, but you know, the majority of it is, like you said, an average price of $20, $30, $40 an item.
Right, because those are the items that are easy to find and that they're out there. Like there are a lot of $20 to $40 items that are just hanging out at thrift stores or yard sales that you can pick up for under $1. It's much more rare to find a $3 necklace that you can sell for $1,300.
Right. Yeah, and actually, just another side note is we have been selling lamps pretty successfully. We sold a couple lamps for over $200 lately. So that, I think we've kind of talked about this a little bit, but sometimes, you know, buying, storing, and shipping items like lamps can be very daunting. But then when you get a high price for it, you know, sell 2 of them in 1 week, you're like, great. Right. You know, that feels good.
Yeah, but I mean, we've had some really good days this past week, you know, where we've made, you know, $600-700 in one day.
Right.
Just on a bunch of different items because we have a large inventory. And I think, you know, some weeks it's slow and it's just, that's the way it is. But when people are out there buying stuff, if you have a big inventory, then you can have those kind of big days, you know? Right,
yeah, I think that's something like sometimes when we have like almost 2,700 items in our store right now, and you know, sometimes you look at your store and you're like, God, we have so many things and it's such a slow day and it feels like such a bummer, like how can that be, you know? But then, like you said, it fluctuates where, you know, some days you're making, you know, $700-800 in one day and you're like, okay, so it evens out, you know, it's the number at the end of the month, like you say.
Yeah, exactly. So at the end of the month, you know, if we're making between $200 and $300 a day, I mean, that's great.
Yeah, you know, that's the goal.
For us to be able to work from home, take vacations whenever we want, and
Yep.
sleep late if we want to. That's a great
That's
thing.
the best.
Yeah.
That's the best
Seriously.
example of why it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we actually are traveling this coming week, and I think Mikey and Wendy are traveling too.
Yep.
So we're going to have to talk about that a little more, like how it works with your store to be traveling.
Well, right.
as much.
So we just came back from Florida, actually,
Yeah.
where we had our store on vacation where people could still buy, but there was a message up top that said, if you buy, it won't get shipped till a week afterwards. And we're just going to do the same thing. And we sold, it's 50 items in 1 week.
Yeah,
while we were gone.
Yeah, it was great. And so that's always the debate. Like when my mom goes away, she puts her store on vacation, but she hides all her stuff. For me,
Why did she do that?
I don't know.
Okay.
She might have stopped doing that, but the last time I checked, I was like,
Right.
your store's off, totally.
But just keep on selling,
Yeah, I mean, for us, like, if we had one complaint last time, 1 out of 50 is really not bad.
A guy who said he didn't see the
banner,
but also he didn't see when it said when it would ship, and so
Right.
But then we explained it to him, and we sent him a screenshot of what it did say, and then we never heard from him again.
Yeah,
so.
he just, that was good. But,
Yeah.
if someone does say, well, I want my money back, if that's 1 out of 50 people, 2 out of 100, you're still doing really
Right.
good,
Right. So we're actually going on a work trip where we're going to be doing our other job, and then still making eBay money. And while we're
Yeah.
gone, we're going to take a big bag, an empty bag, and hopefully we'll be packing it full of stuff that we find.
Yeah, something that we do is we bring a big army duffel bag. We stuff it into one of our other bags, and if we're flying somewhere, we'll go thrift store shopping. We'll stuff that, and it's cheap enough to pay for a carry-on bag on a plane than shipping it home, because I think it's
Right.
70 pounds or something.
Right. Well, it's not a carry-on, but
I'm sorry, a check-in.
Check-in
Yeah,
bag,
yeah, a
yeah.
check-in bag.
And we've even boxed stuff up and shipped it home.
The last time we visited Mikey and Wendy, we had rented a car, which was kind of bad when you're thrift store hounds, because if you rent a car and then have to fly home, you're like, we have 7 huge boxes of random stuff from thrift stores. But I think we spent over $120 to ship it all home. But, when it comes down to it, you're like, well, number one, I had fun.
Yep.
And number two, I'm going to make my money back on. I think I remember I bought a big Revereware stock pot. It was one of those, it was the biggest Revereware stock pot you could get is 20 quarts or something. It was huge. And I sold that for $150. So that one item paid for the shipping
Right.
for all the other items.
Yep.
So it was that kind of evened it out a little.
Yeah, but so this just goes into the scavenger lifestyle that this whole podcast is about, where, we basically do the things we like to do, and
Yeah.
it's making money at the same time.
And for me too, I think I'm not someone who is into going on vacation for vacation's sake. I don't like to just be on vacation for a week and do nothing, sit on the beach. That is so boring to me. So the fact that we can go to other places and look for flea markets, look for yard sales, actually in Florida, we went to flea markets and we went to an auction. The night we got to Florida, we were like, let's find an auction. And we bought a bunch of we found some cool stuff.
Yeah. Big African mask.
This big African mask is 3 feet tall. No, it's about 2 feet tall. But that's gonna sell. I think I bought that for $7, and it's cool.
Yep.
And some swag lamps. We bought some oh my god, more lamps. But they're really cool. They're Danish modern swag lamps.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I mean, I'm sure other people have ways to have fun, but yeah, we like to go to a new place, and scavenging helps us learn about a new place because it gets you into the neighborhoods, it gets you around different people.
the other thing too I found was at that auction, especially because this was in the Tampa area, people were buying different things that people up here either wouldn't buy for as much, or people weren't buying the things that were popular here. Those swag lamps or that African mask up here, I would have been competing for those. Down there, literally that African mask, people were like, what is that? I'm like, what? I can't believe no one else bid on this, you know? So I always think that's interesting too. I guess our next episode, I think we'll wrap this one up, is we're actually talking about the global shipping program. We have some pros and cons about that we'll be talking about in episode 20.